Chapter 6. The demon coachman brought them to Kessel, hungry, late, and sopping wet. The morning repairs had not outlasted the day. The wheel threatened to come off again at any moment, and a spring rainstorm had begun pelting down. Taking the risk of sending coach and passengers into a ditch, Musket pressed ahead, hunched on the box, whistling through his teeth, grinning like an undersized fiend in an oversized hat. Kessel offered a large inn. Because of the storm, however, it looked as if every traveler had broken his journey there. The common room stank of wet clothing and bad cooking. Las Bombas, Musket and Theo following, elbowed his way to the chimney corner and called loudly for the host. The Count, in the privacy of the coach, had changed from his uniform into garments of black, set off by white wristbands. "The chambers of Mynheer Bloomsa and servants," declared Las Bombas when the landlord finally appeared. "You have my message reserving them." The landlord, taken aback by the sight of the demon coachman and a dripping Trebizonian, protested that no such message had come. In any case, his house was full. Theo, having digested his surprise at the Count's new role, expected Las Bombas to make a show of indignation. The Count merely sighed. "That's the public post for you. It is not your fault. I require a suite of your finest apartments, but I shall have to seek accommodations elsewhere." Instead of doing so, Las Bombas stood casting an eye over the travelers. When Theo urged him to leave before it would be too late to find another inn, Las Bombas shrugged him off. "Patience, my boy. I'm looking for pigeons. You might oblige me by handing over that gold piece, temporarily." Theo gave him the captain's coin, which Las Bombas quickly pocketed. His attention, meanwhile, had settled on a table occupied by a plump little man in a fur-trimmed cloak. The Count made his way toward him. Passing the table, he contrived to pull out his handkerchief so that the gold piece dropped to the floor. Las Bombas kept on as if he had not noticed. "Good sir, your money!" the man called after him, picking up the coin. The Count turned back and allowed the traveler to press it into his hand. "You need not have troubled yourself, sir. It is of no account. I thank you, nevertheless." "Permit me," the traveler popped his watery, pink-rimmed eyes at the Count. "Permit me to remark, I would hardly call gold of no account. My name is Skeet, alderman and corn merchant, and I assure you, sir, in my occupation I know the value of money." "I, too," replied Las Bombas with an appraising glance at the quality of the alderman's garb and the weight of the gold chain he wore as an ornament. "To me its value is precisely nothing." "My good mynheer!" cried the alderman. "Bloomsa, was that the name I overheard? You amaze me." "No doubt I do," the Count beamed. "Money, my dear sir, is only metal, and, like any other substance, subject to the same natural laws of transmutation and transmogrification. I am a man of science, not finance." He lowered his voice and drew closer to Skeet. "My experiments have brought me the means of creating as much gold and silver as I please. Therefore, whatever value they may have for others, for me, they have none." "But this is marvelous! My journey has been most profitable, but nothing compared with meeting a personage of your accomplishment. Wait until my good wife hears of this when I'm home." "Since you have troubled yourself on my behalf," said Las Bombas, "allow me to offer your supper before I leave. I must find some lodging still available at this dismal time of night." "Indeed not," returned Skeet. "I shall be the one to offer you supper. Look no further. I insist you share my own quarters." "If it pleases you," said Las Bombas, "my servants can take their food in the stables while they attend to my horse and coach." The Count, during this, was gesturing urgently behind his back. Musket pulled Theo out of the common room and hustled him to the stable. "What was that all about?" asked Theo, as the dwarf tossed him some rags and a brush to wipe down Friska. "He's up to some trickery. That man doesn't have an honorable bone in his body." A powerful kick sent Theo into a pile of straw, not from Friska, but from the dwarf, who stood, hands on his hips, glowering at him. "Mind your tongue," said Musket, "next time you have anything to say about the Count." "It's true, isn't it?" cried Theo. "What if it is? I'll hear nothing against the man who bought me. That's right," Musket went on. How much he paid, or if he swindled them out of the price, I don't know or care. I was half your age, in Napolita. He bought me from the beggar factory. From the... what? Beggar factory, the dwarf said cheerfully. No, you wouldn't have heard of that in your little hole and corner. But you've never wondered why there's so many beggars? Oh, there's no shortage of first-rate paupers, lame, halt, and blind. But half your noseless, or legless, or hunchback. They've been custom-tailored for the trade. Youngsters bought or stolen, then broken past mending, sliced up, squeezed into jars to make them grow crooked, sold off to a master who pockets whatever charity's thrown to them. That's horrible. It can't be true. Can't be, said Musket. But is. I was lucky. I was born like this, no adjustments required. If it hadn't been the Count who bought me, no telling where I'd be. Rascal he is, but he's a good-natured one. Take your nobles who flog their servants, gouge their tenants, or the judges who send some wretch to be hanged. They're honest as the day is long. Any scoundrel can be honest. But all the rest of it, said Theo. The Salamanca Lancers, Great Copta, Trebezonia. I wonder if he even knows where it is. Why does he put out such nonsense? No business of mine, said Musket. For all I know, he can't stomach the world as he finds it. Can you? Theo did not answer. He turned back to rubbing down Frisca. He had been more comfortable when he had been able to judge Las Bombas a complete rogue. The potboy brought them supper. Since it was too late to rouse a blacksmith, Musket and Theo set about repairing the wheel themselves. The dwarf, this time, swore his work would last. Soon after they finished, the Count hurried into the stable. "Master Skeet's on his way home," said Las Bombas, smiling like a cream-sodden cat. "But he'll be back, looking for us. We'd best be off." He triumphantly held up a knotted handkerchief that chinked as he shook it. "I have performed an experiment in elementary alchemy. My coins, I assured our good alderman, had a remarkable quality. They could multiply any others they touched, as easily as a hen hatching eggs. He had only to wrap his money up with mine, and let it brood overnight. By morning, he'd have trebled his fortune. He was overjoyed. We set the packet on the mantel in his chamber and went to bed. It couldn't have turned out better. He woke up, restless. He wanted to be home with his fortune. I warned him not to undo the handkerchief till dawn, or the experiment would fail. But he won't wait. He's too greedy. When he sees what he has, he'll turn back on the instant. What I forgot to tell him was that while he was snoring away, I tied up another handkerchief with nothing but pebbles in it, and changed it for the one on the mantel." "You robbed him!" cried Theo. "You might as well have held a pistol to his head." "Nonsense!" replied Las Bombas. "I don't carry a pistol. My dear boy, until I can set Dr. Absalom to work again, this money's the only thing to put food in our mouths." Chuckling, Las Bombas unknotted the handkerchief. Then he choked and stared. His face went mottled. There was only a handful of leaden discs. "Slugs!" roared Las Bombas. "He switched the packets, but I had my eye on the real one every second. I never left his side. Only when he was fast asleep and I went out in the yard for pebbles. I wasn't gone a minute. That wretch! He was shamming! Robber! How dare he pass himself off as an alderman?" The Count ran to the stable door and shook his fist into the night. "Villain! Little sneak!" He turned back to Theo. "Ah, my poor lad, there's a lesson for you. Never trust a stranger. What a world with so many thieves abroad in it."